we really are convincing them of all these different messages that like make up our point of view, which are things like prospects do care about the product and the features, which in B2B is really kind of the hot take. Most people are like, B2B buyers don't give a crap about your product. They just want to know if you can drive the outcome. And we're like, that's not actually true for the people who look at homepages.
You consider that the content you create, should it be that all hammering down on that one message, that one unique, we help you build your landing page for product marketing? Or is it more you're touching on different topics and you're kind of layering it in, you're building out, domain expertise and you're touching on multiple areas and then narrowing the funnel over time?
Basically, our positioning of let's fix your confusing positioning
And
will
for
help
anyone
you.
who's
So yeah, so basically, like people will often say around positioning, like we'll work with them, and because we're rewriting the homepage, they will say, well, "How do we A/B test this?" And I'm like, "Well, you will need to split the universe into two parallel universes. One where you spend 12 months as this positioning, and one where you spend 12 months as this positioning, and then we can bring the universes back together and compare which worked out more." Obviously, you cannot do that, right? Like positioning,
a
a lot of these
truly
things
perfect
are,
split test is impossible.
yes, it's
Yeah.
impossible. And
Yeah.
so like my co-founder, Rob, he's used the metaphor where it's like you're getting on a boat, you're leaving California, and you could either sail to Japan or Alaska. And so like the test of that position can be like, let's go 3 days in a row towards Alaska and then 3 days towards Japan, and then we'll compare which was better. And it's like, that's
Yeah.
not really how it
Yeah.
works, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
our positioning, for people who aren't viewing this on video, this is just a screenshot basically of our homepage, or like a representation of it, where we say in the main header, we say, let's fix your confusing positioning. And then in the subheader, we say, we'll help you identify your target audience, find your unique differentiation, turn it into clear and compelling homepage copy. And then we have supporting stuff below, right? Different other ideas. That positioning only works, and the whole offer only works if we've been successful in the marketing funnel up top, which for us is, things like LinkedIn posts, podcasts, webinar appearances, stuff like this that we're doing right now, guest newsletter posts, speaking engagements, short form videos, testimonials, right? All that stuff. And we really are convincing them of all these different messages that like make up our point of view, which are things like prospects do care about the product and the features, which in B2B is really kind of the hot take. Most people are like, B2B buyers don't give a crap about your product. They just want to know if you can drive the outcome. And we're like, that's not actually true for the people who look at homepages. Things like narrowing your focus is a strategic advantage. It's better to be clear than it is to be clever. Don't focus on messaging to the buyer, like the executive. You should focus on messaging to like a director level champion. We say things like positioning should be visible on the homepage, where like some of the biggest positioning experts in the world will say publicly, you can't see positioning on the homepage. And we're like, what? Like if you can't, that's like the
And
whole
wait,
point. So
what do you mean by positioning? You mean like your position in the market?
more like the position you're trying to own. So like when we say, for like those 4 questions that I had talked about, what is your product? Who is it for? What does it replace? Why is it better? We're like, that should for sure be visible on the homepage. And so some people are like, no, that's more of a strategic thing. It's behind the scenes. And so
I
like we
see.
have to convince them of these different ideas for them to get the final message. And so all of our posts are just sort of in this different matrix of concepts that all in our minds form a cohesive worldview, but aren't always just, this is why you need to buy this service. This is why it is like a collection of ideas that support the
Multi-dimensional, different
underlying.
aspects, but that all feed to the same thing.
Exactly. So that's how it doesn't, it's not always so boring and tedious where people are like, how could you be posting about positioning every day? Wouldn't you lose interest? And it's like, well, it's not really this just one thing. It's like a collection of ideas and how interesting ways you can do it using real examples to keep it interesting.
What do people typically, what's the biggest thing that people mess up with homepages?
It's basically what we've already been talking about. It's not choosing who the homepage is for. And I think people forget that organic traffic, especially if you're an early stage company, organic traffic is like not existent. Like most B2B startups like don't really get organic traffic. So like we always say that one would be, and this isn't a homepage thing, it's more a website in general. They will build all these sub pages because they're like, we could service this group and we could service this group and we could service this use case and this industry. And so they'll build all these sub pages for each of those different potential groups. When in reality, those people, unless they are taking those messages to them, those people will never see it. And so, for example, they usually have like one marketer, maybe two, and they're in their mind, especially the founders who are not in the marketing. Like most of the time we get along with the marketers, and the founders are like, hate us. Not always, but if there's usually like, if there is a head of marketing and a
Existential threat.
founder,
Who are these people?
exactly, yeah. And the marketers, smart marketers, like understand that marketing efficiency is a direct correlated, it's directly correlated to your amount of focus, right? Like just try running an ad campaign to sales, marketing, customer success, operations, and finance all at the same time. You're just going to be, there's no way to do it, right? And versus let's run an ad campaign to sales becomes way better. So it's, the homepages are almost always a refusal to focus. And what ends up happening as a secondary consequence of that is when you can't pick who you're for and you try to speak to everyone, the only thing that would make sense is outcomes, like vague business outcomes. And then you trick yourself that you're doing good marketing because everyone on LinkedIn and, is just always commenting, nobody cares about the product. They only care about the outcome. And then you're like, oh, this is great. I actually can go after 10 segments all at the same time because they all want to increase revenue. So if I just lead with that, we increase revenue, we're going to win and we're doing what's right. When in reality, they're shooting themselves. Exactly.
If you enjoyed that clip, there is much more of that conversation. Make sure to check out the full interview where we get into so much more. And if it was helpful, click the like and subscribe button. If not, no worries. Hopefully, I'll convince you next time. I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy wherever you are.